Alright, welcome to the channel. Today I'm gonna have a go at putting a photo into Photoshop, adding some detail, some extra little bits on it, and then bringing it into Lightburn. So what you want to do first is go into Photoshop and open the photo that you want to use. This was an old photo that I took a couple of years ago. Noticed that it looked a little bit dark, so I just brightened mine up a bit more. But yep, just mess around with the settings until you get it how you like it. And then you want to cut it out somehow. I normally use the pen tool because it's the neatest one, and then just zoom in and start tracing around it with a pen tool. This can take a minute, but it's worth it really, because if you try and do it with the quick select tool, you always end up with like rough edges and it never goes well. So better just to take the time. I speeded this up so you don't have to sit through it all. But yeah, you just want to stay as close as you can to the edge. Keep the dots a decent distance apart when you can. And just keep going around it. Could zoom in closer and get it even more accurate, but I didn't want to take too long for this. Nearly there. Right, once you're back round to the other end again, you want to make a selection. So it's turn it into a path, and then copy it and paste it so now it hasn't got the background. I used the crop tool and then made the canvas a bit bigger so that I could fit the name where I wanted and stuff. So just put in whatever name or whatever you're using, make sure you spell it correctly, and then I'll just remove in the last few bits anything that's not to do with the bike, just quickly remove out of there. With this I'll just use delete, go round, make selection, and then delete it. You can mask it and just remove it with black, but I find this way easier and tidier. So yeah, just get them bits out of the way. Now the bike's cut out and you've got a nice clean line around the edge. Now I'm just going to recrop it down to size. Otherwise, when you put it onto Lightburn, you end up with that size box around the bike. Otherwise it thinks the photo's that big, so you're best just to go back to crop and then just crop it in nice and close so it gives you a more accurate where it's going to land on the laser. Alright, and then I just save it, export it. Oh, still cropping it a little bit more. Export it as a quick PNG, that's what I do, it seems to work. As you'll see here, export, quick PNG. Save it wherever you want to save it and call it whatever you want to call it, where you can find it. And then over to Lightburn, open that up, go to import, and then find wherever you put it, There's my one. And now you see it's all cut out, nice clean edges. Now what I do is right click, left click first of all to select it, and just change the photo to the way that you like it in Lightburn. I brightened it up a little bit because it still looked a little bit dark. Go to preview and just check it out, make sure it's how you like it. Then I went to trace image because I wanted to cut it out the shape of the bike, so I went to trace image, so it traced all around the edge. It did put some extra bits in there, but to get rid of them, all you have to do is control and click the line you want to keep so it isn't selected, and then press delete, and it'll delete all the other stuff you don't want, like that. Now you can turn the image back on. Right, the line that I made, I'm making an offset just because I want a little gap between the bike and the edge of the acrylic, only just a little tiny gap, just to give it a little bit extra around the side. Now I want the writing to be on the acrylic as well and not be just, you know, loose on the top, so I've put that within a square where I want the acrylic to end, and then select both the outline and the square and take away everything in the center by using that tool. Yep, and then now I don't need this cut out, so I'll get rid of that. And now I want the bike to be able to go onto a stand, so I'll make a square at the bottom, the size roughly that I want the stand to be. So just move it around till you're happy with where it is. Make sure there's enough sticking below for you to put in the stand so you don't lose the bike wheel or whatever inside the stand. And then do the same with that, take everything out of the center. Make sure you grab both layers. I'm just going to resize it to the size that it's roughly going to be, because at the moment it's huge. I want it to be about 6 inches square, so just drop it down to roughly 6 inches. And that's roughly with the bike. Now I'm making the stand. So for the stand, you want to make, you can see, you just want to make the outside of the stand the size that you want it. And then to make the inside slot for the stand, just trace inside that tab what you made earlier and drag it down, click on it and click on the outside box, control and click on the outside box, and then center it to make sure they're both, to make sure that your slot is in the center of the stand. So select them both and center, and now they're centered. Group them together, and I moved them to wherever I thought I was saving the most space. And yeah, just trying to save some acrylic. Right, now check that everything's correct how you want it. For engraving I use 500 speed and a 20 power. And for cutting this 3/16 acrylic I use 12 speed with 60 power. Make sure if you're doing it on acrylic that you mirror the image so that looking through the acrylic at the image. That way, as you just see, I just mirrored my one. And now preview it just to see what you're going to end up with. Make sure it's what you like. If you don't quite like how it's looking, you can just go back to shape properties and brighten it up a little bit, which I'm doing now. Make sure you're only clicked on the image, and then change your settings to how you like it, or to what looks right. Anything that's completely white is not going to get etched at all, and whatever's black is gonna, or dark, is gonna be etched. I put it on Diver normally, or Jarvis, but you can choose between any of them and see how it works for you. Now just preview it again and check before you send it over, or before you put it into the machine. Yep, just check settings again. And now to save it, just go to File, Save As, and it'll save it as a light burn. This is if you don't have your laser in the room with your computer. I take my card outside with me and put it into my computer outside. I do my editing indoors, so as you'll see in a minute. So then once you save it, just drag it into the folder that you want to use, or if it's already on the correct computer, you can just go ahead and press start. And then as you see now, you just, mine's on the card now, so I've put it into my computer where my laser is. Open it up, and as you can see there, it's already mirrored at my correct speeds and everything, and how I want it to look. So then from there you can just double check everything, what I'm doing now. Make sure air assist off for engraving. Outputs on. I like 500 speed, 20 power. Make sure you choose what image mode you like. Diver and Jarvis, these good ones. Okay, just check that one's correct. Air assist on, 12 and 60. That seems to work for me. Send. Calm, okay. Sending. Go over to the laser. File. Make sure that's correct looking. Enter. Let me show you a bigger picture. Let it load. Tell you your speed and power over this side for the two layers and what order they're going in. And I was just going to see if it fits on this small piece. Oh, let's put the air back in. No, not quite. Frame it again. No, still got to move down. Okay. Make sure the laser's focused. Oh, I'll run in and get them in a sec. And then should be able to just press start. Alright, to make sure your slot is going to fit on your material, take the material that you just cut out of and cut a series of different holes, like different sizes going up, just like 0.1 millimeter or something at a time. You see, like, it don't fit in the 3.8, I can't fit it in the 3.9, just fits in the 4 nice. 4.1 too loose, so I went with a 4mm slot size, which gave me this. You can see it, and then it's actually a good fit. I'm gonna have to put it down to get it in there. There you can see that's a perfect fit. It's not going to fall off, but you can still get it off if you need to. So this slot, you can see it's that part there. So you want to make sure that the height for this, this piece here, make sure they're not grouped, because then it's going to tell you the hole size. You want to just ungroup it, click off it, and then just click on the middle one. You see that one tells you, oh, it's tilted at an angle. Yep, so then you just select this one. Now it's straight, you'll see up here, it says it's 4.002. So
what do they do if it's not it? They gotta resize the whole thing?
No, if it's not it, just make sure that this is not locked. Make sure it's unlocked, and then you can just change one measurement to, I could make it exactly 4, and then press enter, and now change that. I'll make it 6 so you can see the sides change. See how it gets bigger? Well, you want to make sure that slot fits the size of your material. So mine's 4, enter. And then if you want to make sure these are centered with each other, I don't know if I'd do this correctly, I'm quite new myself, but what I'd do, I make sure these are lined up roughly. If they're out, if they're not in line to start with, which they should be, but I just move this. And then you have to control and click. See, you've got both inside and outside part connected, and then press center it all, and then it'll center your slot in the middle of your square. And now if you group this together, then you don't have no worry about the little middle part coming out. And I just put it down here because that seemed like the most space saving place to put it.